This is the MIDCONVO podcast, and I am Paul, and this is Ed.
What's up, y'all?
And we're about to talk about, does gear really matter?
Yeah, and also we're going to cover if your gear sucks or not.
True.
If you feel personally attacked by this episode, we're sorry.
Yeah, DM us.
But you might be surprised by some of the stuff we do talk about and the way Paul approaches gear and the way I approach gear. So let's not waste any more time and roll intro music. All right, dude, let's get right into this. What are we talking about today?
Man, we're about to talk about something that I feel like has been heavy on my heart. No, but in all seriousness, we're going to talk about what our gear setup's like. And I think it's important because there is a lot of fear and intimidation when you step into any sort of freelance creative role. Whether you're a business owner or it's a side hustle. For sure.
And I think that when you're first starting out as a freelancer or just honestly anything creative, doesn't have to even be freelancer, the gear trap is real. Like when you first start, you feel like you can't succeed without all the like newest and fancy gear.
Yeah.
And it can be a crippling thing for you if you can't get over it.
Exactly.
Because I know people who like will not move forward unless they have that camera or like if they have like a kit lens, they're like, you know what? I can't get the bangers unless I got a 50. Hey, but there is some truth to that though.
Yeah.
There is like a measure of truth to that. So let's go into a little bit about what is your experience with gear? What was your first camera?
My first camera was the Canon T2i.
Sheesh.
And I'll tell you right now, that thing, before grain was cool, every photo that I took, no matter if it was outside, natural lighting, or at a concert venue, there was so much grain.
Dude, all that noise, dude.
But Canon has a good T-line, I guess you could say.
You know your camera sucks when you shoot in an ISO 400 and it's noisy as heck.
Dude, that's literally what would happen. But through that, I learned the settings. I learned what lenses I needed to buy outside of the stock lens that comes with the camera sometimes. I think that was my introduction to like buying my first 50 millimeter.
Was it the Nifty 50?
It was the Nifty 50 by Canon, which later I graduated to the Sigma 1.4 50.
Hey, you're still rocking the Sigma art lenses though.
You gotta.
All right, so what's like your next?
That glass is money.
That's your next tier. Like how did you upgrade? Like what was your next step after that?
I think the Canon T2i brought me to the Canon 6D, which had the 35 millimeter and the 50 millimeter by Canon, and then this like long zoom lens. And then fast forward to, honestly, I think it was like 6 years ago now, I invested into the Canon 1DX Mark II.
Sheesh.
And I still shoot with that every single shoot.
Bro, my man's rocking the 1DX Mark IIs.
It is
for
a beast.
6 years.
It's a machine. My dad, when I talk to him about cameras, because he really loves talking about cameras, he'll always bring up that he used to have a Pentax K1000. That's like that was a reliable film camera back in the day.
Yeah.
And for me, my Pentax K1000 is the Canon 1DX because I feel like it's never failed me.
Yeah.
I'm not about to get emotional on this podcast, but oh my God. No, but seriously, it has not failed me.
Ain't nobody got your back like your 1DXs.
I went from 1 to 2 because I wanted to make sure that as I, transitioned into bigger projects.
Yeah.
Or simply tackling projects where it's photo and video. I'm able to set one up for video on a Ronin, and then one is always set up for photo.
Yeah, dude, and I've personally seen firsthand these 1DXs. They got some battle scars. There's some love on those things.
They get beat up.
Dude, your lenses, your camera bodies, bro.
Yeah.
Like you give those things some love.
The shutter count's probably outrageous. Because I shoot on continuous.
Hey, when you saw it on Craigslist though, and they asked how many shutters on this thing, what are you going to say though?
I'm never selling that thing. Honestly, the day that it runs out of speed or shutter, I think I'll, look into getting a new camera.
Yeah.
But for now, there's not really a point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to hear from you. What was your first camera, and where did you start, and then what are you shooting with now?
Yeah. Honestly, I had a fascination with photography from. So if people don't know this, like iPhone's got the portrait mode. Yo, Galaxy phones have been rocking that for a fat minute, bro. It wasn't as good as portrait mode, but they had that depth of field mode like long time ago. And I remember having a Galaxy smartphone and using that depth of field mode, and everything else around it was blurred out. And I was like, yo, this is sick. And then I got my first camera, which was a Canon Rebel T3i. Got it at Costco.
Rebel series.
Costco with the kit lens. Yeah, shot B-roll of flowers with that. Random stuff outside. Random moments of life.
And you're rocking the kit lens.
Kit lens, bro. Like I would document everything. Like my dog would walk up on me, our family dog. I would take a picture of that. Just because I was so fascinated by the camera.
That's great.
So that was
awesome.
that was money. And then yeah, honestly, I'm kind of a gear fiend. Like
yeah, you are.
Paul knows this about me. If you follow like my Instagrams, you might even be able to pick up, or like my home office.
This dude's always got a different camera. Yeah. And
like I love gear.
Man, your Pelican case is
dialed.
Decked out.
It's dialed. Like I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it's necessarily just. I don't know if it's that I'm dissatisfied necessarily with my gear, but I love new gear, new tech. I don't know what it is about me, but I just love that stuff.
That's cool.
So for me, I started with the Canon Rebel T3i, but I went through my journey with all those cameras, like Canon T3i. Then I got I think I got a Canon T6i after that. Then like the 6D, had a 5D Mark IV at one point. Then switched to Sony.
Hey.
Then went to Blackmagic.
Oh.
Then went to Canon.
Oh.
And then your boy's back to Sony.
Oh my gosh.
All
What's
within
the
like
Sony
6
camera
years.
that you have right now?
Your boy's rocking the FX3, which if you're watching the video, that's what it's shot on right now.
And in a month from now, you could be on to something different.
Dude, I might be shooting on Nikon in a month.
Wow.
Forget that. I'll never shoot on Nikon. Hey, you never catch me slipping with the potato.
With the potato.
Oh, man. But yeah, so for me, gear has always been something that I'm very interested in. But let's go into a little bit, obviously tying in the gear question.
Yeah.
For those people who are feeling a little stuck with maybe the gear that they have, how do you approach gear? Like what role does it play for you on set and on your shoots?
Yeah.
Like for me, when I hear that you've been rocking the 1DX for 6 years, keep in mind your rates have increased every year for 6 years.
Totally.
How do you continue to how do you do that with without ever increasing your gear?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I think for me, I look at my lifestyle and my personality, and you bring them together and how I operate my business. I'd say I'm pretty simple. Much like my wardrobe, it's pretty capsule. So from the beginning, the minute I found the 1DX Mark II, the image and just the way that you could color grade it when shooting on Cine or whatever, I fell in love with it because the majority of my clients are hiring me for photo and video. It's functional. I'm able to, flip the switch to photo and video and easily just throw it on a Ronin. And I think the way that I've been able to maintain it is by just like trying new lenses and trying new things with it. I'd say like every year I look back at, what I learned with my setup. And even though it's like the same lenses, the same camera body, dude, it's like 5 years later, I'm figuring out new settings about my 1DX and I'm like, I love you.
Dang, bro.
But yeah, I don't know. Trust me. Like I do shoot, outside of using the 1DX. I have like a film camera, the Canon 8U1, I think.
Yeah.
I'll throw in some like Kodak film and like shoot some behind the scenes.
Yep.
But I also have the Fuji.
That Fuji though.
And the Fuji is the 100 SV, right? No? Did I murder that?
The X100V.
The X100V. See, I don't even know.
It's a beast camera though.
And maybe we'll get into a story about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been rocking that thing even on client shoots.
Wait, so yeah, we will get into the Fuji because we should talk about that. It's a fire camera.
That's a good like breakout.
The video
combo.
is not sponsored by Fuji.
No, but should be.
But should be.
Yeah.
So do you never have gear lust? Like when new gear comes out, do you never feel, wow, like I want that?
I have friends, one guy in particular, Johnny, and he was like the friend growing up through high school where whenever the new iPhone came out, he'd buy it. He'd be like, I upgrade it. And I know that's you. That's your personality and that's your interest.
Yeah.
For me, bro, I was rocking like the old school iPhone, even just like 2 years ago.
Dang.
And I would never use it for Instagram. So like all my photos on my Instagram stories were all shot on my DSLR because I had like too much dust in the camera cavity.
Wait, I'm so confused. Like where does that stem from? Like, why are you like that? Do you think?
I think I'm like that because,
like, did you grow up that way?
I mean,
when you were little, like it was very functional.
I mean, we never, like my parents even, like we never upgraded to like the newest and the best car.
Yeah.
We traveled a lot. I feel like we did a lot of awesome things, but I just never really valued new things. So I have learned how to maximize the tools that I'm given. And that is one of my favorite things about working on set with clients is, I mean, I'll roll up with my Pelican, which looks dope, and I'll pull out my two 1DXs, my 35 millimeter Sigma, my 50 millimeter Sigma.
Yeah.
And then I got my aperture light. And that's it.
Bro, let's talk about this aperture light for a second. So you use a aperture 120D.
Yep.
Mark II though. It's good. It's a good light, honestly. Shout out Aperture for making good products.
Yeah.
But that's your one light?
That's my one light. Bro. Yeah, I will say also I have valued in outsourcing lighting for the last couple of years.
Yeah, you do outsource, which is nice. So yeah.
That kind of saves me the stress of having to like do many things at once.
But bro, you be locking in like multiple 5-figure clients with this setup. The two 1DXs, 3550 in the aperture.
Totally.
Bro, that's money.
Yeah, and honestly, don't get me wrong. Again, I think what's so great about this episode is that like we're on two totally different sides of it. Like you love your gear and you love upgrading and like building out your kit. Where for me, I feel like I got stressed when I bought the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm now going to have to learn how to use this.
Comfort zone a little bit.
Outside of my comfort zone. And I was so used to the auto tracking focus on my 1DX.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, do I use the Blackmagic? Yeah, I'll use it every once in a while.
Yeah.
But like, I'd much rather use the 1DX.
We are way different though in that way which is very interesting because I do feel like that's why we also complement each other in a couple ways. Like I've noticed that trickled into some of our work as well. I mean, at the time of this episode, you guys may have already seen it, maybe not, but we just built Paul's desk setup at his house.
It looks good.
It looks fire.
So good.
And like, we just approach things differently.
Yeah.
Like Paul is like, gets really stressed out from maybe seeing all these cables underneath. And like, when he sees that, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but you just like, dude, that's a chore. Like, it doesn't even seem like it'd be fun for you. But for me, I see that and I'm like, let's go, buddy.
Totally. You love like looking up on like what the new settings are.
Yeah.
How to like add things and integrate them to your workflow.
And I love seeing, I guess I love transformations.
Yeah.
I love seeing things that are like in shambles beforehand.
Wow.
Or maybe like start from scratch.
Like my Target desk.
Bro.
By the way, that thing was looking dusty.
Hey, but you were waiting for the desk setup. So but yeah, no, it's just we approach things very differently. Like me, if you guys don't know, I have not a problem, but like I love gear. And even on this trip, I told Paul probably like 10 freaking times that I love this tripod that I brought. And I just bought it. But I'm so hyped about it. And I paid, honestly, it's a stupid amount of money for a tripod. But I just love good design. I love functional products. And for me, it's if I feel good using it, it makes me work better.
Wow.
I don't know how to explain it.
That's cool.
But like if it feels good to me, it trickles into my work. And I'm on the other side too, where if I start to feel like my gear is not supporting me, my work starts to suffer.
Wow.
It's weird. I can't make the best with, I mean, I will if I need to, but when I have a choice, I will always choose the optimized route with gear, with whatever, you know, like when we went on San Miguel, if you guys don't know, some of our last episodes we were in Mexico, and I was telling Paul the whole time, like, dude, when we got back, I told you that I was on this mass killing off of my cameras because my back was hurting because I was carrying all like the R5 and the C70 and all these stuff. So I came back and I literally traveled with 2 small Sony bodies now and a travel tripod. Like,
and totally. Also, wait, can we just say shout out to the guy that bought the Black Magic kit?
Oh, yep. Shout out to that person.
You sent that to someone where?
No, it was a girl. No, it was a dude.
Either way, someone bought it.
Someone. I think it was like in North Dakota.
That's awesome. They bought the whole kit.
Yeah, and then the Canon R5 too.
Dude, that's
someone
huge
bought the whole kit.
I mean, you could probably send them a YouTube video after this and say, hey.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Wow.
I was like, because they were like, hey, what's included in your kit? And I was like, just watch this video. This is all the stuff I have for sale.
That's cool.
Dude, it was money.
That's cool.
It was money. But you're definitely like a less is more approach.
Yeah, I mean, I got stories.
Hey, let's tell one.
I got a story quick. I mean, I found myself in a pretty short span going from, you know, the side hustle photographer to being thrown on set with national brands, where my boss at the time I was working at an agency was like, who's going to be your photo assist or your production assist? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you know, he's going to hold your gear and hand you lenses and like help you run any lines and stuff. I'm like, well, I got one camera, doesn't even have a camera strap, and I'm rocking the 35 and I might use the 50. And he's like, are you serious? And it's funny because the entire day, that assist essentially, like, I mean, he got paid a pretty good day rate and was following me around. He's like, this guy's easy, because I ended up putting the lens in my pocket when I wasn't using it.
Yeah.
And then I would just switch it. Versus, you know, since I've actually been on set and I have more stuff, but I feel like I can process more when there's less things. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if people listening to this can relate, but when I used to shoot weddings, you know, you got 3 to 4 lenses, you got all the tripods, you have all the things to worry about, where you can kind of run around with your head cut off.
Yeah, for sure.
Depending on the type of shot you're going to get. And I wanted to make sure that when I'm working with my clients, I'm more focused on the talent and the concept and making sure that they're comfortable and that we're able to achieve what we're trying to achieve, versus getting overly stressed on, you know, settings or maybe it's a new camera.
That's a good takeaway right there. I've seen you, because we've worked together on set before. I've seen you do this. Like you are so efficient on set because you are thinking about what's in front of the lens, like talent, location, colors, flat lay, style, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're not hovering over your Pelican thinking 35 or 50 or 35 or but I can get 70 mil. Oh, should I get the long lens?
Yeah.
Oh, should I get different camera body for this? Like, totally. You're not wasting time. Do I do handheld? Do I do gimbal? Like, you don't waste time on that.
No.
Which means you're way more efficient on set, and you are able to get probably a lot more clips and footage than the average person, just because you're so dialed in and you're not thinking about gear, you know?
Yep.
And that's huge, because a lot of people do get caught up on that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm also the type of person where when I come on set, I am kind of the type of person where from the deliverables, I want output. I know I'm just not a fan of people who set up tons of gear and then they get like 5 photos. I'm just like, dude.
And that's what I'm amazed by with you is, I mean, I've seen your rig videos and like how you build out your kits, and it's so compact and it's really simple when you break it down.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I still take a simple approach.
You love the functional design, and you love the new innovations and stuff that are coming out. Yeah. Which I'm sure makes your life a lot easier when you're on set.
Yeah.
Because you almost have something that's providing a solution to help make your workflow or the way that you're trying to capture whatever it is a much easier process.
No, for sure. And I think I'm similar to you in the sense that I also agree that less is more. So when I say like I love gear, I'm not constantly adding more gear. But if you notice with me, I'm always swapping things out. Like I'm always trying to refine my kit in a way that's like, I'm not adding more gear. I'm just trying to get it more dialed to what I like. Same thing with like my desk setups, my life. And I think it just trickles into my life habits. That's kind of how I am too with just everything, not just camera gear. It's my rooms, it's my car. It's like everything. I'm super like detail oriented about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm having a really off topic question. Not off topic, but random thing that came to mind. So for your taxes then at the end of the year, like I just realized like you never buy gear. Like I don't think I've ever heard you tell me like, oh, I just got this new lens or I just splurged on a new body. Like what?
Where's my write-offs?
Yeah. Like what do you write off, dude?
I feel like that's a really good question.
Because you don't ever buy gear. Like maybe
I need to write stuff off more, but I think for me, I mean, what do I write off? There's a lot of different things that I'll write off that just covers like my monthly fixed expenses doing business. I'd say,
you spend a decent
buying
amount
an
of
aperture,
money,
like buying specific things for set that someone on my crew needs. And then I just say, hey, my agency or my company owns it. So we can rent it out to you. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, what's funny about that question is it reminds me of even just like 2 years ago, I got hit up by an agency to hop on a shoot and it was for a massive brand. And I showed up and they're like, where's your stuff? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, we were expecting like you to bring all your gear and stuff.
Oh my God.
I'm like, well, this is my gear. And to be honest, I wasn't even rocking the Pelican. I was rocking the camera backpack.
Dang,
and
bro.
It was just so funny to me because they booked me because of my website and the content I've been producing and putting out, where they expected me, I think, to have much more equipment.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've been on set before where the client's like, hey, where's like the big lens? I'm like, the zoom lens? That's for sports photography. I've been on sets where I'm working with another photographer and they come from the agency world and they have all the strobes.
Yeah.
And they're looking at me like, where's your stuff? And to be honest, like, I just started learning about strobes like 2 years ago and I've been doing this for 10 years. So, I am being stretched in so many different ways where I am like taking the time to learn from friends of mine that are experts in those areas. To be honest, like what I've been doing has been working.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a tip that I want to give people that are freelancers or just creatives where they're maybe a little bit scared to go all in is you can go all in without spending a crazy amount of money on gear. But to be honest, like one thing that I'm looking forward to this year is figuring out ways to make my life easier. And if that does have to do with buying more gear and like solving issues that I'm running into with, maybe it's my at-home setup, then I'm going to do that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I convinced you to splurge on a couple things in the last month or so.
Yeah, you did.
Dude, you got that new M1 MacBook Pro, dude.
That thing is speedy.
It's a beast.
Yep.
And you said you hadn't bought a MacBook before that dude, like weren't you and Sammy like sharing a MacBook kind of?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, come on, we can all relate. I mean, maybe you can't because your stuff's organized. But like my Adobe Photoshop for the last year, depending on what I'm editing, it says scratch disk are full. Man, they're always full. Like whenever that happens, I Google how to make this go away, and it says, dude, you got to clean up your desktop or you got to get rid of files.
Yeah, you're that guy where you go to the storage tab on your MacBook and you're always at like 50 megabytes left and you're figuring out how to delete old videos to make space for your new imports.
Dude, I literally...
Storage anxiety, dude.
It's terrible. I mean, I had to delete iTunes once to make room. Like... I'm dead serious.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, yeah, I feel like I'm in a spot where I'm going to keep running with the 1DX. You already know what it is. Like,
dude, yeah.
When people ask me, hey, what's your gear setup? I feel like, at least in my circle of people between Minnesota and Miami, they think like the 1DX is a bomb camera.
Oh, it is, bro. It's a tried and true camera right there. The workhorse cam.
It is a workhorse camera, and I don't see myself changing that for the time being.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. It's I think the way you view gear is it's not that you don't want to upgrade, but the time you'd have to spend learning a new piece of tech is not worth the time. Like that's time wasted for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if the 1DX isn't, like, if it's working for you, why change it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why spend the time to change something that's not even broken?
Yeah, I think that's the thing is, I think if I didn't have any work coming in and I had more time on my hands, I'd probably be like, dude, no, I'm going to go rent this new camera. Yeah. And I'm going to get to know it and see if it's a better fit. Yeah. I for sure know just from working with you and even using your Canon, what is it? The C70. D70. That thing helped me out so much when I was shooting with that at my workshop.
Yo, story time on that actually. So let's go back to New York City. We're here at Paul's workshop. Just envision, right? This guy's doing a workshop, okay? I forgot what happened. I think you were trying to teach people.
I forgot my memory card for my 1DX.
Yeah, you were teaching people how to do like a video, and then you were doing a same hour edit, basically. Yeah. And you forgot the memory card. So I was like, yeah, just use my C70. I just got it. And you were like, I've never used this before. I was like, you're like, oh, whatever, I got it. And you just grabbed the C70 in front of like students, and you literally used it for the first time ever. Yeah. And that video was fire.
That was fire.
Bro, yeah. You edited, not only did you shoot that video with a camera that you've literally never held in your life, you also edited the footage and it looked bomb.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Like, dude, which is just a true, goes back to the point of you're not even thinking about the gear. You're like, all right, is you shooting 24? Is there ND on this? All right, let's go. Yeah. And you just shot. Yeah. You just shot and you were focused about what's in front.
I think that's a good point. I care more about the settings than the actual equipment.
Exactly. And that was impressive, dude. I remember when I saw that, I was like, yo, that's crazy. Yeah. Because you're so focused on what's in front of the camera that as long as the thing shoots video, like, that's all you need. Yeah. And that was impressive.
I mean, Ed, like, your setup's not cheap by any means, right? And I'm curious, coming from you, someone who really values gear and having all the equipment that you can kind of pull from, what is advice that you would give to someone who is maybe in those early years of growing their video business? Yeah, yeah. Like, because they could easily hear from you like, oh, well, this guy, he's been doing his business for a while. He's successful. He's proven that he's able to get clients. Of course, he has the nicest gear. Yeah, yeah. But like, what would you tell them? Like, where can they start?
Honestly, I would just say you should start with turning a cash flow. Like, cash flow is cash is king. Yeah. Like, I wasn't thinking about upgrading cameras and all that stuff when I was struggling to make money. Like, it wasn't even on my mind. Yeah. It's only when like clients started coming in, I started to have money, and then I started buying gear. But if you're not in that position, you should 100% be in the mindset of what's in front of my camera. And one thing that I wish I would have invested more into earlier maybe we can both agree on this, bro, lighting is everything. Yeah. Lighting is so much more important than lenses, than camera, than audio. Like, huge. If you can nail lighting, you could shoot on a T2i and make it look good. Yeah. Straight up. I'd rather have a T2i and good lighting than the nicest camera in the world with terrible room lighting. Yeah. Because lighting is everything. And so basically to your question, if you're first starting out, I would say find the camera that works for you, learn it really well. That's one thing that we didn't talk about. Like, I do switch cameras often. Yeah, you do. But dude, when I buy a new camera, I trap myself in a room for a day and I learn all the ins and outs of the camera.
You watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Everything. Yeah. I custom set all the buttons the day I buy the camera, just how like I want to use it.
Dude, I have like the stock button set still for the 1DX.
But like, you have to know your gear. Like, if you don't know your gear, My rule of thumb is you should not upgrade your camera if there's still things you don't know about your current camera.
Yep.
That's a good sign that it's not
That's
time.
really good.
It's not time to upgrade your camera yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because how do you know if something's not working if you don't even know, if you're not even using the full capacity of what you have?
I like that.
So
I think one thing off of that, and it's maybe a tip for people, is if you're ready to upgrade your camera and you might not have a crazy amount of cash flow, you could always sell your camera to buy an upgrade.
Yeah. I mean,
think
dude,
that's a cool approach too.
I know you have the 1DXs now, but dude, it's all about climbing that ladder. I mean, I know there's some people that keep all their cameras and they don't really buy a new one until they can afford just to buy it outright.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm not like that. From the beginning, T3i days, I always sold and added cash to buy another one. Sold that camera, added some cash, bought a better one. I never just straight up bought all my cameras. So that's why I don't own any of my old cameras. I don't have even the R5 that I just sold. Like I don't have any of that.
Totally.
Because I always reinvest it into
That's cool.
the upgrade that I want.
That's a really good way to look at it.
So I would say if you're looking to upgrade, just figure out how you can maybe sell your current gear and then buy new ones. But yeah, dude, honestly, I just feel like people do get caught up on gear a lot. But honestly though, hear this. When does it actually matter though? Because I do agree that you should, work with what you have. But we would be lying if we said that you could make a T2i with an 18-55 kit lens that only shoots at like f4 look as good as a 1DX.
So where do you draw the line?
With
right?
a 50 mil prime?
Yeah, and I think that's something I want to hear from you. And I can answer it first. Is what is something that a photographer should invest into if they're ready to level up? Let's say they start with the stock camera.
Ooh, okay.
And the stock lens, not stock camera, stock lens. And they're sick of the 4.0 f-stop. Like, what should they invest into? I think
speed round, top 5 things you should invest in, like you said, as a photographer, and then I'll do video.
Yeah. I think it's a 1.4 35, a 1.4 50.
And 2 1DXs.
Yeah, 2 1DXs. I think it's an aperture light.
Yeah.
Some people might say strobes, but yeah, strobes are great. I'll rent those if I need them.
You mean like a continuous light?
A continuous aperture light.
Like
yeah. And then
2 more.
You need a camera strap. I'm just playing. I think those 3 are the first that come to mind. The next thing would be you need ND filters.
Yeah, definitely for video.
Like I shoot a lot outside, and even for photo. If I want to make sure that I'm able to maintain like a 2 f-stop, then, and my ISO is already at 100 and my shutter is, at a reasonable number, I want to make sure that I'm able to maintain those numbers. So ND filter right there. And then a reliable tripod is going to come in handy. Especially if you're shooting photo and video. I flip the switch all the time. I would say tripod or some sort of stabilization, like a Ronin S.
Oh yeah.
And that is like the ideal kit for me. And that's my setup, y'all.
Literally.
How about you?
You honestly don't need more than that. I mean, my kit, or like, I guess what I would recommend for someone who is looking to level up, is basically all the things you just mentioned. I would say to go along with your 35 and 50 point, I would say have a go-to prime lens. Like, it doesn't matter. It could be 35, it could be 50, it could be even 85.
Yeah.
But like, you should have a prime lens that you love. That's like your go-to grab.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone has, some people it's 24, but once you fall in love with the prime lens, you will make the shot work with that prime lens, no matter what, even if it means to get closer or step back.
Totally.
But that was valuable for me to learn, because I will say there is a specific look you can get with prime lenses that you can't quite get with, and it's not just because it could go in the lower f-stop. There's just different. It just looks different.
It's the glass too.
Yeah. It could be the compression. It could be the bokeh, the whatever, right? It just looks different. So yeah, I would say prime lens for sure. For you video people, filmmakers, videographers, invest in a good mic. Like good mic.
Good audio.
Good audio. Nowadays, there's so many people coming out with like these lav kits that can double as a mic receiver and a lav mic, like it's crazy, dude.
You got to
Like,
invest into that.
You got to invest into a good audio source, because nothing's worse than watching a video that's shot beautifully and then the audio is trash. It can ruin the whole experience. Like I could watch kind of a bad visuals, but if the audio is bad or it's like shot with in camera, I can't watch it.
Wow.
Because the audio is so bad, you know? But that's also why, think about it, like that's why people love podcasts. Because as soon as you press the play button, it's like the audio sounds like this.
Yeah.
And it makes you want to, it makes you feel like you're there. It makes you want to listen.
Which is awesome.
Versus if we just transition to the FX3 in-camera audio right now, it would be hard to watch. You know?
It would be painful, actually.
It would.
Yeah.
So yeah, good audio. That's really it. Aside from what you had.
That's
so like
a solid,
tripod.
that's a solid 5. One thing that I'm thinking about is maybe if someone is listening to this and they're like, that still seems expensive. One thing that you can do is incrementally grow your kit or like your setup or your equipment. And one way that I actually did that when I first kind of even wanted to test the 1DX was there's a local camera store that does rentals. You can now go on sharegrid.com and do rentals. There's like all these different websites and rental studios and stuff where you can try something out or try it on, I would say, before you purchase it. So maybe that's like an avenue that you can look into. Yeah. If your cash flow isn't there, but you're trying to maybe get a better lens or something.
Yeah, no, that is a good way to like test things out and learn if you like it. Another quick little hack is when I was first starting out and I couldn't afford new gear, I used it as like a motivator to book higher paying clients. So let's say I wanted this $1,200 light, right? I told myself, okay, if I book a $3,000 client, that $1,200 is going straight to the light.
Nice.
So I would like put these benchmarks for myself, and then it would feel like I'm not even, I mean, I am obviously paying for that light, but it would feel like I earned it or like the client is paying for the product. So that's how I kind of started like to grow my kit. Because when I feel like it's coming out of the shoot's pay, I don't feel like it's coming out of new money. I mean, obviously that's just psychological because if I save that money, then it's going into my savings. But you know, basically what I'm saying is use that as a motivator. Do not, I repeat, if you need gear, do not go into debt buying all the newest gears and gadgets. Like if you're that person who buys all these new camera bodies, the nicest tripod, the nicest mics, that you have 0 clients and you put it all on credit, bro, don't be that person.
No. Yeah, because if you're not able to score and land work without that equipment, then when you get it, that's a big point right there. Yeah. Is equipment going to change? Like, is it going to automatically have work? Like, are you automatically going to get clients because of your gear?
Heck no.
You're right. So I think that's one thing to note is like, I think the gear is a great tool to help you better the quality and increase productivity. But on the other side of it, it's not going to solve all the issues that you're maybe facing in your photo or video business.
Yeah. Honestly, if you don't have your business set up properly, doesn't even matter what you shoot on. Dude, there's 2 things I want to talk about before we end this episode. One, let's tell a story of us being on set together and like how we interacted with gear.
Yeah, that's really good.
And 2, I want to talk about the Fuji X100V because that's a fire camera. But
where is that camera? It's over here somewhere.
Dude, the story that I want to tell is, so we had a client shoot. It was like a local fitness. It was like we were doing like an interview shoot thing with B-roll. And I remember specifically, like we were running low on time. Towards the end of the shoot, it was a hustle because we just it was going long, and the talent we had, like we just need to shoot quickly. And so I remember thinking to myself, dude, I'm stressed. Like we need a ton of B-roll right now. We literally have no B-roll, and I'm out here like literally I was stressing like which lens to use, which setup to use, which like are we shooting on Prime? Are we shooting on Zoom? Like are we syncing audio? Blah blah blah. Dude, meanwhile, Paul literally grabbed his 35, grabbed his 1DX, slapped that ish on a Ronin, and he just went flying on it. Dude, and then the footage that you got from it in 30 minutes was butter. Yeah. You didn't even think. It was a reflex. You just grabbed your favorite Prime, grabbed your camera, boom, went to work.
I remember putting the color profile to neutral for that too. Yeah. Because I'm like, oh, Ed will appreciate this.
Yeah. Dude, but what is going through your brain during something like that? Like, do you just...
Yeah, I feel like
You kind of work good under pressure, though.
I think it's less of a gear thing and it's more of just how I've operated. I mean, here's the deal. When working with clients, my approach might look different than other people in that my goal is to achieve as many assets as possible while maintaining quality.
Yeah.
So like, I love being able to have a lot of output, especially because my clients are using content for like social. So I think where I was at with that was I looked at the cameras we had been shooting with all day, Blackmagics.
Yep.
And I'm like, there's no way I'm shooting handheld with a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema right now.
Yeah.
I'm just not. And these talent are moving. Like, these are athletes.
Yeah.
So my mind goes towards auto track.
Yeah.
Grab the 1DX, to it on the stabilizer. And for me, I knew that I could crank out content with that.
Yeah.
And then also I knew that it was going to be high quality enough to mix in with
the Blackmagic footage.
Blackmagic footage.
Bro, do you remember when you were doing the Ronin and I touched to focus pull? Like you were handling the Ronin and I was like over your shoulder and I tapped a different object and it looked like a dolly like focus pull shot. Dude.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was nice.
What's cool about that too is that is also why it's great to sometimes work with others on projects that are big or like productions that, you know, you can always make better by just simply bringing on someone else to share the weight. Because when I brought you on that project, I knew that you know way more about video than I do. I knew that you were going to be able to crush the audio because you had the right audio setup. So that's what was cool for me, regardless of like what gear I was using and you were using. The collaboration aspect with how we both value producing like incredible quality for output shined, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Do you have any stories with
story time?
Or like of us being on set and us being different?
I think I kind of owe you, bro, for introducing me to the Fuji.
Oh yeah, dude, the Fuji.
Like,
the Fuji's awesome.
The Fuji kind of changed the game for me.
If you guys don't know, after this podcast episode or even now, pause this. Go Google Fuji X100V. Dang, I need an affiliate link up in here. And they're out of stock. Yeah, that's true. They're hard to find.
Yeah, I mean,
they're hard to find.
Again, back to gear. The camera the one camera I've invested in over the last, there's been a few over the last couple of years. A few have been from thrift shops. They're like $10 each. But then the Fuji was this year. So back up a little bit. There was like 3 months straight in 2021 where we connected and we hopped on like 3-4 projects together.
Yeah, we did. We had a few
5
back-to-back shoots. Yeah.
And one of them was a pretty big beverage shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's a lighting guy, hair and makeup. My wife was a stylist. It was great.
Yeah.
And on that shoot, I remember shooting with my 1DX and I was happy with what I was getting. But then all of a sudden, Ed was shooting with his Fuji.
I was like trying to get some BTS a little bit.
Getting some BTS. And I grabbed it and I started snapping photos of product.
Yeah.
I remember looking at you and being like, look at this image. And it was so clean, so crisp. And it had just a different look to it than my DSLR did.
Yeah.
That, you know, Sammy ended up getting me it and you guys talked about, you know, what would be a good gift for Paul for Christmas time?
Yeah, Sammy was scheming, bro. She got you a fire one too that had all the accessories decked out.
Yeah, this guy from Wisconsin had it on Facebook Marketplace. Picked it up.
Yeah.
But I think that was cool because that showed me even. I mean, if the client would have seen me shooting with the Fuji, their product, he probably would have been like, what's going on?
Yeah, dude, because it's literally so small. Like it looks like a point and shoot. You can't even change lenses on it. It's like a fixed
what's cool
lens.
is people think it's a Leica.
Yeah.
But like, first of all, it's not a Leica.
We too broke for that. We can't afford that stuff.
Leicas are too expensive.
We can't afford that.
But like this Fuji camera is just a monster at all things. And since that shoot, I've used it on probably 6 client shoots.
Dude, that's crazy.
So like talk about gear. I mean, I went from having a heavy camera bag on some shoots to just bring in the Fuji
Mm-hmm.
because my client's just looking for some like super simple, high quality social media content.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Fuji,
Dude, I couldn't agree with you more.
game changer.
Because even just for my life and some things like I don't want to use an iPhone necessarily, but I don't want to bust out a big camera.
Yeah.
Because like I just don't want to deal with getting it into Lightroom, looking at the raw image and like tweaking it and everything. Like sometimes I just want a fire photo out of cam.
Yeah.
And the Fuji is that for me. Like sometimes now when I just have it around my neck, it's so easy, it's so low pressure that I feel like I want to document life more.
Yeah.
Or when I'm on set, I want to document more of the set and like try to get the BTS. Like even when we do these podcasts, we try to get some BTS posts. And when the Fuji's in the room, you're just like, oh, let me hand me that. And then
Snap.
snap.
Totally.
But imagine if you had to like go to your Pelican, put on a 35, grab the 1DX, shoot photos, put that into the computer, look at the RAWs, and then you got fat file sizes too,
Totally.
you know?
And what's cool too is
Convenience is king.
rather than having like two 1DXs around my neck,
Yeah.
I now will rock the 1DX and then just have the Fuji nearby.
Yeah, it's like a B cam.
As kind of a B cam for photos because it just gives a different look, like a film. I mean, it can give you any look you want, but for me, I like to kind of make it look more like it's shot on a film camera.
Yeah. Add some grain on there.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some cool film like what do you call simulations that you can do. So
essentially
you can,
color profiles, right?
And you can replicate some of the film stock that you can buy for film cameras, but you can replicate it. Like a lot of times people ask, "Oh, was it shot on film?" It's like, no, it was shot on the Fuji.
Yeah, it's got Wi-Fi and stuff. It's got a lot of different incredible capabilities. I kind of want to wrap this conversation up by asking, what do you think it is that makes it so we value different things when it comes to gear and equipment?
Yeah, I think we have different personalities in the way that, well, this is interesting because you also appreciate good design and just like things that look good. But if people ever met me off camera, which you have, and if you ever like came to like my home office or like saw my car and things like that, it trickles into everything. Yeah. Like I just love aesthetics.
Yep.
I love things.
It's your lifestyle.
Yeah. Like just as I like cable management and seeing a clean tucked like desk, my car is the same way.
Your car
like
clean inside?
Yeah. Like I'm spotless usually in the car.
Wow.
Like when I get stuff installed on the car, it's not like janky, or I don't do it like in a scrappy way. Like everything's installed properly. Like, and then I do tasteful mods that I think look good. It's the same way I kind of approach this whole like way to everything that I do. So it's not just gear, and I'm just kind of, I don't have the right word, dude.
I think you value tech, innovation, and good design. Where
I really do.
That's your personality. For me, I value different things.
Yeah.
I mean, could you see how this could tie into maybe a up and coming filmmaker or videographer that's getting stuck in these YouTube videos where they're seeing like these big YouTube, it's like, Peter McKinnon or whatever, and like these setups and being like, I need that gear in order to be good.
Yeah, dude, honestly, let me just tell you something because I've experienced it firsthand. If you're watching any big YouTuber talking about gear, I'm not even big, but even when I talk about gear, I'm gonna put my money on it that so many people don't actually even use that piece of gear. Like it's not even in their normal kit. But they'll talk about it like it is because they signed a contract and took a paycheck from a brand. Yeah. And they are obligated to talk about how good it is and things like that. Guarantee you though, all the big YouTubers have their go-to kit, similar to how Paul does. And they're not, that new camera, that new lens, that thing is not in their kit. Yeah. So just like anything you see on YouTube, just take with a grain of salt. Like don't think that because so and so is using it, they actually use it every day. Like the only thing that I would say is true is if you know this person specifically and you've seen them use it on set all the time. Yeah. Because things change. Like for me too, I talk about products sometime, but I thought it was what I liked when I talked about it, but then a month goes by and I'm like, no, I actually don't even really like using that. Yeah. So also look at like how old that video is. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's good.
So, but don't get caught in that rabbit hole.
You got to be careful with that. And that's something that I honestly fell into a couple years ago. I bought a bunch of stuff off of a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And it
Like
was
a black magic.
No, it was actually strobes. And I bought the strobes and I was like, these are going to be sick.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't like them. And I later found out that I didn't like them because guess what? For me, my style is a lot different than that photographer that was teaching that or that was sharing that information. So again, I think it's something to encourage you guys is, I have friends that like outside of just friends with you. I have friends, some friends. I have friends that have
a couple.
A lot of gear. I have friends that have little gear. I have friends that have less gear than me and they crush it.
Yeah.
So I think it goes a long way just to say like personality is definitely a part of it. How people live their lifestyle outside of shooting, like photo or video. Because guess what? We're not just photographers and videographers. We have life outside of this.
Yeah.
Like you said, your car, right?
Yeah.
Like my car outside, the mirrors. Let me see. The mirror is still off because my wife was backing up and it got taken off somehow.
Bro, you literally don't have a driver's side mirror.
Like I've had the opportunity to buy like nice cars, and to be honest, like even like a nice motorbike, and I got a scooter. Like,
hey, that scooter's lit though.
That was a $2,000 scooter,
bro.
Where I could have bought in like a cafe racer. But listen, I didn't want to have to take the time to learn how to ride it manual.
Yeah, true.
You know?
You valued your time.
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Like if it takes up too much time, it's not worth the money for you. It would stress me
out if, to be honest, like your Canon C70, since being on this podcast and since we've been talking, I might have to look into getting that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to sell one of my 1DXs.
Yeah.
But I know you got the Sony.
Yeah.
I would not get the Sony.
Yep.
I don't have, I just like don't have the brain capacity to do that right now.
No, for sure. I think there's definitely some fire takeaways from this episode.
But the Sony's fire.
It is. But yeah, like Paul said, to answer the question of this podcast title, your gear doesn't suck, but don't get so caught up in the gear trap and learn from Paul and also just like learn from
you, yeah.
From what I've accomplished as well, in the sense that cash is king. Like if focus on your clients, focus on business, focus on increasing your invoices, gear is like the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
So if you're like up at night all the time, watching YouTube videos, figuring out how to get that next new camera, the next new lens, or if you feel like you're not succeeding because you don't have those things, just throw that stuff out the window.
Yep.
Like,
if anything, it's going to hinder your growth, right?
Exactly. I tried not to end this on a cliche note saying like gear doesn't matter, but we're out here saying gear doesn't matter.
We should do a challenge sometime where we use a stock lens.
On
the Canon, on the Canon Rebel, that you first started on, and I'll use the Canon T2i, and we'll. Can you imagine? I mean, dude, this would stress. No, I'm talking about a client shoot.
Oh, damn!
I'm just kidding. Hey, what client is it going to be?
Your client's
who's going to get the dusty?
Your client's listening to this podcast, like that better not be our shoot. That client.
No, but how cool would it be to do a spec shoot, and just to prove that you can get a really good image still.
Yeah. Oh,
with some right modifiers.
You know, be a good YouTube video on that same note. What if we like gave ourselves a budget?
Yep.
And we had to go to the camera store and buy like a pawn store or something. We had to buy like an old camera, old lens, and then like one talent. And we had to go like it was like a challenge, like a vlog. Dude, that's a YouTube video idea.
I'll come to Seattle for that.
All right.
And maybe we can shoot it at that new studio in town.
Ooh, that plug though. Hey, if you're in Seattle, Soto Studio, Seattle, come through.
Yeah, shoot him a DM and he'll give you a little discount or something.
Book your boy studio. Yeah, I got you. Hit me up.
But you got to say you're from the MIDCONVO. And if you guys receive value from this, do us a huge favor.
Yes, please.
And share it. Give us feedback through the DMs too. We love answering DMs.
Hey, if you're this deep in the episode and you love us, screenshot this and tag us on Instagram and post it on your story. Hey. But no, for real though, leave us that 5-star review because those really do help though.
They do.
So 5-star review, please.
Yeah, we got a lot of exciting guests coming up. We're going to be talking about some other hot topics, and we hope to drop more value on here at the MIDCONVO podcast.
Let's go. All right. See you guys next episode.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.